Okay, so part 2. I knew 2 days ago that I was going to attend. Not just attend, but I knew that it was important for me to spend as much time in the energy of the Mark and Jacob Iskander Angelversary on their home turf as much as I could, because I knew there was going to be, that energy was going to be very pure. And I didn't know how I was going to be able to be of help, or even if I was. I just knew that for person to person, human to human, there was something that I was to learn from somebody else's suffering. And I didn't have to see Passion of the Christ. I know enough. I get it. I don't need to understand how horrible people can be. I never saw that movie. But I have tapped in lately. I have been tapping in lately to what it means to be a mom. And there's a point of, there's a ceiling that you can't go that other people can go. And I realized this, that as much as, this is just recently, as much as I would be able, if my destiny meant you have to completely detach from the dramas that your loved ones are playing out. And you have to just trust that whatever hardship is about to come to them, even if it means their own suffering and their own death, that you have to allow it. And I realized I couldn't. I couldn't. It's unnatural. It's just unnatural. I can't do it. I won't do it. I'm not going to do it. So if that means that, I can only go so far in my quest for interdimensional travel, because this, the mom part of me that always wants her kids to have it, get it, do it. Okay, so be it. I can't, next life I won't be a parent. But in this one, no, I'm not going to make any concessions that I will let go of. I won't. I can't do it. Oh, can't do it. Won't do it. So, again, so this idea of what does it mean to be a mom? Still, it's not a mental something. It's almost like there was a pact made. I'm not going against that. Not going against that. My dad didn't with my mom. He made a pact. Anyways, mine's a different situation, because my kids are like, whoa, so creative and interesting and intelligent, and I believe in them. I do. I mean, I just do. How much time do you have? I'll just go on and on and on. Anyways, so the idea of understanding another mother's suffering of two of her children. You know, I want to believe that on some level it wasn't just about like understanding. Obviously there's a part of me, you know, there's moms to moms, you know. You want to be able to somehow give them something, you know. It's like, what's that magic moment? There's this magic moment, you know, like when the clouds part and you think, okay, I'm gonna make it, I'm gonna be okay. What is that? I don't know. But there's a place. It's like, and all of a sudden you don't get it, and then all of a sudden you do get it. So, you know, being able to help a mom, another mom, sister, you know, bond with her, unite with her, activate, engage. If I can, you know, anything from my energy and my strength that she could use, you know. Her name's Nancy. My best friend from childhood's name's Nancy. It's a good name. Love that name. Oh, that name so much. Anyways, so, you know, there's the part that you just have to like put that out of your mind, because, you know, if you think about the idea of I don't belong at this thing, you know, society says, you know, especially in this weird moment of stalkers, you know, this time in this, you know, if you express interest, you know, in something beyond your borders, you're a stalker. So, you know, that's very unfortunate. I realize we don't just watch each other anymore. You know, if we have a fascination with someone, you know, there's something about them that feels magnetic. You can't indulge in that. You can't, you're not allowed to publicly show that you're watching their videos, or they're, you know, looking at their photos, or even if it's just they're on the other side of, they are on the other side of the street. You know, you can't. You have to look down. You can't watch. You can't just watch. You can't just be fascinated. Nature still allows that. Hope that never comes into fruition, that nature says, hey, you can't watch us, you know. I think that's why reality TV is so popular, because we can't just be fascinated in the moment, you know. There has to be this buffer. Somebody has to, I guess, you know, there's a consent. Oh, I agree to be watched, and all this money is going to be, you know, given to me and whatnot. It's a crazy world right now. But, you know, there's still a whole lot of light, in the sense that, okay, so how has this evolved since I realized I was supposed to be there? Well, I knew what I wanted to bring to this Angelversary is I wanted to create a bit of a heart race. I wanted to make you feel, I wanted to make the people, I wanted to make the family, I wanted to make the spectators, give them a little bit of surprise, give them a little pizzazz, you know, something, you know, when you think about the story, it's, you know, just the story of that day a year ago. It's a hard, oh my God, it's such a hard story. And, you know, when you look at, you know, what that neighborhood did immediately after, the area that the boys were killed. There was all these flowers and teddy bears and just, because it's a popular area apparently that people walk, families walk. And so just, oh my gosh, from watching the videos just recently, just kind of familiarizing myself with what happened beyond, the sad, the very heavy story that obviously made an impact in my brain. But that's not my community, and so I didn't know, what that community was doing. So in the last couple days, when I've been familiarizing myself, like, okay, I don't, I want to be as respectful as I can to this family and the friends and the community, where these children, this family is cradled, So I wanted to do some homework, and I saw, so many, all these flowers and oh my gosh, all this stuff. And then I watched videos, that the father had posted on Nextdoor. The older son, I think that was Mark, he was quite the showman. And so there's these 3 videos that he had posted. It may have been the anniversary of his birthday, or I don't remember what it was. But one, he's singing this, Corona song. Dun, 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 dun. I've watched it several times. This kid is singing in this, like Italian accent, and he's, just really getting into it. And I don't know how old he is, but really did an amazing job. And, the hills are behind him. And then there's 2 other videos. One where he's jump roping on stage. I guess like maybe his talent show or some kind of show for his school. And this kid is a ham. I can tell he's a ham. My dad was a ham. And so he's like jump roping. He's up on the stage, right? Tall stage. And, he's doing a great job, Olympic kind of, jump roping and whatnot. And then he's got this, headband on his head, and he slips it over his eyes. And then he's like, jumping rope, crossing, and also blindfolded. And the mom in me was just like, oh my God, I would have like had a heart attack in that moment, just because there was time when he looked like he was getting closer to the edge of the stage. And it's those moments, when I was watching that, it's those moments being a mom where you don't want, you want your child to follow through in that moment. And you have to sort of trust that it's going to be okay, And she probably did. She probably was just fine. But the mom in me was just like, oh my God, he's getting close to that edge. And so, anyways, I was relieved when that video was over because he was safe. And he made it. And he was successful. And then there was another video where he was doing these jokes, these funny jokes. It was this whole, like, spiel of, I don't know how long it was, a few minutes, and one joke right after the other. And I think all the first one where he's doing the Corona, and then the last one when he was doing the jokes, you could hear his dad's voice. His dad was the cameraman, and so his son, in just the few things that the videos I saw, he was very dramatic. And that was something he wanted to entertain. He wanted to entertain. And he did. He entertained me for sure. And so getting a sense of these boys, also I was reading, one of the mom had said that, so Mark, the older one, I think it's the only one. Oh, I should have found that out. He always drew her attention to 1111. He knew about stuff like that. I don't even know if she knew where that first all of a sudden came into his forefront. But he used to say 1111, point it out to her. You know, for those of you that don't know, 1111 is the time when a portal opens. And after he had died, Nancy, his mom, realized he died on his 11th birthday, 11 days after his 11th birthday. Does that make sense? 11/11. So he trained her maybe to watch for those numbers, to look for those signs, to be tapped in to things mystical and real. Just have to tune into it. And he told what the mom posted was, after he died, he had told a friend that he had had 11 broken bones. And this friend mentioned that to Nancy after the boys had died. And she was like, why? That's so weird. Why would he say that? He's never had any broken bones. And in the autopsy, they showed he had 11 broken bones. And she knew that he was a special child. And she wondered, did he know? Did he know his end was near? Did he know his younger brother was going to be accompanying him? There's a movie, I don't remember what it's called, Tender Mercies, or I don't remember. It's three sisters, I think Sissy Spacek and Jessica Lange. They have to come home because their mom has just killed herself, and it's a small town. And the reason why this story was so strange in the movie, why it caught national attention, was because the mom hung herself with the cat next to her. And everybody was like, okay, the mom, why, she's obviously having like major issues, but why a cat? Why do you do that with the cat? And so that was sort of like this big mystery, apparently, that caught fire in the movie. And there were two characters that were talking about that, and one of them was like, what was the cat about? And the daughter said maybe she didn't want to die alone. It always stayed with me, You hear about things like, whole areas, earthquakes or 9/11, or, where you have a big group that are crossing into the other side at the same time, and I don't know, you're like, hey, are you dead? Am I dead? I mean, it's sort of like that. It's sort of a Saturday Night Live kind of thing. But I guess on some level it makes the mystery of crossing over less lonely, and probably less confusing if you have somebody else to talk to figure it out, to bond with even deeper, you know. So, yeah. What did I want to bring? So what I wanted to bring, I knew I was coming, but I wanted to make, I wanted it, whoever came, I wanted them to feel a little bit of surprise, a happy surprise, you know? And so what I've recently remembered, in a sense that I wanted to incorporate that into my now Topanga time, a tree that I love so much, oak tree. When I was in Cinque Terre, Italy, for the 4th of July, I think it was 2014 maybe, and there were these hanging jars with colored water and then flowers in them. And it was, I just remember like just being so enchanted with that space. And it was just like this teeny tiny little, place you could, outdoor sort of restaurant, you could, have a glass of wine and whatnot. And it just worked. There was something about that that just totally worked. And the idea that I could decorate the oak tree that has been my Topanga teacher in the 4 years that I've been here with those kinds of little colored jars of colored water with flowers in them. I knew that the memorial garden for Mark and Jacob, there was going to be an oak tree, that was right in the middle of it. And so there was a part of me that was hoping that I could hang these jars of colored water with the flowers inside them. Flowers that they're like these pale blue, powder blue. I guess, I don't know if it's a bush. I guess it's a bush, and it's wild, in Topanga and throughout. But so I didn't spend any money, on flowers. I just, as I walk where I walk, I just, clipped up some flowers and scrubbed some jars and created these hanging things, because I wanted that. I thought that's what I envisioned, something unusual, because what I saw from a year ago, when the community just sort of rallied behind them, it was like a Michael Jackson kind of thing, flowers just leaning up against the fence, and teddy bears attached to the fence, and and so I was just like, okay, this is going to be probably a spectacle, and so how am I going to make that even better? And so that's when I thought, well, gosh, if people see this, most especially the family, it'll be that element of surprise that might make them feel good. And so beyond that, I knew that I also wanted to do my part to ensure that the energy was, or the tunnel, the tube, the connection was as clear as possible between Jacob and Mark Iskander and their family, so that there would be, like a connection. There would be I still hear you, I still feel you, I still see you. I don't know what. All I knew was I just wanted to do my part to make sure that it was all that it could be. And I have come to know since early January, through my own, through my own internal tutelage, that when you break glass, you open a portal. That may be why, Jewish weddings, step on the glass. because it may be a way of bringing in the ancestors or something. I don't know that I didn't read it. I just, all of a sudden I knew it. And I've done that only a few times this year since that information was first given to me January of this year, 2021. And the reason I take that very seriously is because what happens when you intentionally amplify fate, there's a price to be paid. You have to give something of value, only of yourself, inside yourself, something of value to compensate for adjusting fate. And you don't know what that's going to be. And what I found with my dad is it can be something that never in a million years, billion years, trillion years would you ever entertain. And then you have to. And you have to do more than entertain it. You have to walk through it. And you have to do it. And the hardest part is not the walking through it. The hardest part is just saying, challenging that mindset that says, there's no way. I will never do this. And then you say, there's no other way. You have to. So do it. Then you do it. In that moment of making that commitment to saying to the universe, okay, here we go. I'm doing it. That's all. Yep, got me. Whatever the consequence is, I'm doing it. That seems to be the hardest part. And the biggest, the biggest turmoil, that part of like, oh, fuck, here we go. What did I just do? But you can't not do it. You just have to do it. And so it's just like, whatever. Okay, my destiny just totally took a different, 180. Never saw this coming. And that's the hardest part, because after that, it's like you have the support of heaven. Heaven, all of a sudden, there's like this triumph. She's gonna do it! She's gonna do it! And everybody's like cheering, and you can't hear them cheering because you're just so, okay, I gotta walk through this, I gotta walk through this fire now. And you can't hear the cheering because you're just so like, okay, I'm just gonna do the best I can do right in this moment, not to get burned, and I'm just gonna pay attention, and And so that's what I was going to do with opening another portal. I knew that there could be a personal price I was going to have to pay. I mean, that's the only thing that made sense. I'm opening a portal so that these two boys and their family can have a clear channel. I'm willing to do it. Come what may. Scared about it. Oh my God, I was scared about last night. I couldn't sleep. And I knew how I was going to do it. I had crystal balls at one point, not that long ago. I had a small red one, purple one, a larger purple one, larger blue one, larger teal one. The red one was the first crystal ball that I actually cracked. Before that, it was a special glass marble. And so when I used my grandmother, it was my very first crystal ball, the red crystal ball, that had been sitting on my grandmother Rose, or I should say Stregarosa. She really was not. She was my grandmother, but she wanted us to call her Mother Rose, but she was not. She was my grandmother. So I had that on her tombstone in the Angelversary Rosedale Cemetery. Probably for a month and a half, 2 months, it was just sitting on her tombstone because I thought, oh, that'll give her that kind of cachet. There's no other crystal balls in that cemetery. So before that, I'm sure she never had anybody come to visit her. Nobody ever probably even cared. But now, after I left that crystal ball there, I thought she's gonna get jumped up to the front of the class. Anyway, so I decided when I was gonna open the portal, crack the portal, when my dad, after he had been diagnosed with terminal cancer, long-term advanced cancer, and he realized he didn't want to continue. I knew he wanted to jump off that bridge, and I wanted to do the best that I could for him so that he would succeed. Oh my God. Anyways, so I needed to make sure. So many things had happened when I had come back to make arrangements, and I just didn't know what kind of mindset he was in. So yeah, it's totally fine. You want to, jump into the abyss. That's just fine. But I need to make sure that your chances of jumping into the light, into God, into arms of loving people, ancestors, angels. I need to make sure that's where you're heading. I don't want you to jump right into something, from the pan into the fire. So there was an assurity I needed. There's so many things. I have a video about my dad's. Anyways, so from that moment when I opened that portal with that red crystal ball, I was called on to make a decision I still can't believe I made. But it was the right decision, and no regrets. It's all good. But it was one of those things where you're just like, this is serious. This is serious. You don't start opening portals, especially in crystal balls, lightly. So when I knew not only did I want to bring the colored jars of water with the flowers in them, I knew I wanted to open a portal, and I wanted to leave it with them, because not only was it about making sure that there was a pure tube between the family and the boys, but I wanted a space where they could continuously come in and out, move through that open tunnel, move through at will. You know, it's that interdimensional wormhole. When you start to align with this stuff, you kind of understand. Anyways, so the idea of that and what these people would think of me, you know, proper Westlake, nice family, leaving, you know, these hanging jars of water with, you know, flowers in them. Okay, that's well and fine. But a crystal ball, and not just a big blue crystal ball, but a cracked one, you know, the idea of who they're gonna call the police on me, you know. And so this, ooh, I see, I should probably do a part 3. It's getting long. Ooh, okay, stay tuned. And hopefully this will be the last bit, this part 3. Okay, I'm gonna wet my whistle.